The Lazy Peon. What's up guys and welcome back to another video. Today I just want to share with you my thoughts so far on Warlords of Draenor based on what I've experienced in the beta, just to give you a bit of an insight on what to expect when the game's released. We're going to break this video down into a few sections so you can skip the parts you're not interested in. So first we're going to start by talking about the visual stuff such as the new zones and general artwork of Draenor. And this is one of the things that impressed me the most when I first got in the beta. Every zone looks absolutely amazing and each has its own feel to it. As soon as I got into Shadowmoon Valley I found myself staring at random pieces of scenery, just admiring how beautiful the zone was. And this wasn't just something I did in Shadowmoon Valley but something I found myself doing in every zone. In terms of artwork I think these are the best zones Blizzard have ever created and it just made me want to get out in the world and explore. The new character models and animations are also really good and in combination with the new zones it kind of made it feel like an entirely new game, but it still keeps the same charm of the old models. I also found the zones to be much more immersive this time around. I think they do a great job in making you feel like you're an adventurer trapped in a strange world, trying to set up a base and win over the natives in order to fight the Iron Horde. After experiencing the Draenor zones I can definitely see why they made the decision to remove flying at launch. There's so many cool things I would have missed had I just been flying above the zone. With no flying, these zones actually do feel quite dangerous and in terms of scale they feel much bigger. It's generally a good idea to stick to the road if you don't want to aggro a bunch of mobs, and I think small things like this add to the immersion of the game. Overall, the artwork and general aesthetic of Draenor is amazing. The art team have really created something spectacular and levelling through these zones that offer such beauty and immersion is a truly awesome experience. So, moving on, the next thing I want to talk about is the new dungeons and dungeon difficulty. And I think a lot of people that started during Mists of Pandaria are in for a real shock for Warlords. The dungeons are of a much higher difficulty and it's going to be a case of sink or swim in terms of how they cope. Unlike Mists of Pandaria dungeons, you can't just ignore mechanics and expect to defeat the boss. You'll have to use interrupts, dispels and be very wary of your surroundings. Sadly, that's become somewhat of an alien concept over the course of Mists amongst the more casual player base. However, I think these dungeons will help get everyone back up to a reasonable standard of skill. Something Blizzard have done to help the players cope with this more hardened difficulty is improve the dungeon journal by letting you know exactly what you should be doing in a more TLDR format for each role, instead of having to read the boss's abilities and have to work out what to do for yourself. This should make things much easier for explaining tactics and getting people up to speed. In terms of quality, I think the new Warlords of Draenor dungeons are absolutely fucking awesome. They all look incredible and have a unique art style. The boss fights have some really interesting fun mechanics and each boss feels different, offering a decent level of challenge. Even the trash mobs offer a little bit of challenge and you often need to use CC and kill mobs in a certain order to get through. With this increased difficulty comes a much higher level of satisfaction when you manage to complete a dungeon. One boss in particular I remember having trouble with was Ner'zhul, the final boss of Shadowmoon Burial Grounds. It took me 15 wipes altogether before I found a group capable of downing him. But when we eventually did it, everyone seemed to be quite pleased with themselves for doing it. This was great because when you overcome harder content, you're not only rewarded with loot, but you're also rewarded with a feeling of satisfaction for managing to beat that content, which is always good. I think my two favourite dungeons in Warlords so far are the Shadowmoon Burial Grounds and Grimrail Depot. I love Shadowmoon Burial Grounds because it just looks amazing and the boss fights are so fun, especially Ner'zhul. There's so much shit that you have to avoid during that fight, it really keeps you on your toes. At one point during the fight he summons a wall of skeletons and you need to nuke one down quickly to clear a path before they wipe your group. And everyone just kind of panics and there's loads of crap you need to avoid while this is going on. And it's awesome, especially if you know what you're doing. And Grimrail Depot is visually the most unique dungeon I've seen in WoW. You have to fight your way through a moving train and really plan your actions carefully because there's not a whole lot of space. The second boss, Nightrog Thunder Tower, is my favourite boss because there's loads of shit going on. You need to take cover from rockets, jump in turrets, avoid flames, keep on top of ads, all whilst watching random Gorgon scenery fly by outside your peripheral vision. It's so epic. One thing I would say about Warlords of Draenor dungeons is, despite them being really good, I'd really like to have seen more of them at launch, and I hope Blizzard adds more over the course of the expansion. Although, due to how good they are, I don't think we're going to get sick of them as fast as we have previously. Next, we're going to talk about the levelling, and from what I've experienced so far of the levelling, it's actually pretty damn good. It seems as though everything we do is building up to fulfilling a larger goal which gives purpose to our questing experience. I also like how we're referred to by NPCs as Commander. It gives you a sense of importance and works well with the idea of you being in charge of your garrison and sending followers on missions. Another nice feature I like is in each zone you can get outposts where you have a choice to build one of two buildings, and the building you select dictates the quest path you'll take for the rest of that zone, giving you an interesting decision during your leveling process. The building you make also comes with a buff or ability that can help you in that zone, which gives a nice bit of flavour to each zone's questing experience. In terms of the actual quests, we still get some of the old kill A, collect B quests, but we've also got many more unique story-driven quests with major lore characters. The biggest thing I've enjoyed so far about the leveling though is the way it encourages exploration with rare mob spawns and hidden treasures around the world. It's a really nice touch and breaks up the questing. Moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about the PvP. In Warlords, the PvPers have Ashran, a new world PvP zone for them to sink their teeth into, and from what I've played it seems pretty fun, although I can see it becoming a little boring after a while, but it's still better than nothing. What I'd really like to have seen for Warlords was some new battlegrounds and arenas, but unfortunately there's not going to be any for launch, which is a shame because I always look forward to playing the new BGs. Another PvP feature is the Colosseum, which is a last man standing deathmatch accessed via the Colosseum building in your garrison, which is pretty fun and a nice addition to your garrison, but it doesn't have enough depth to fulfill your PvP needs. With the removal of a lot of CC and more CC abilities sharing diminishing returns, you can control your character a lot more in Warlords, which is nice, because being under a constant chain of CC for 20 seconds is never fun. Overall, I think Ashran and the Colosseum are pretty fun features, but I definitely think the PvPers deserve a lot more content than they have currently, and I hope they get more over the course of Warlords of Draenor. So I think I've talked about pretty much everything I've experienced so far in the beta, and I just have to say overall what I've seen has been really positive. I genuinely think this is shaping up to be one of the best expansions we've seen, and I haven't been this excited for WoW in a long time. Put it this way, I wouldn't be booking 2 weeks off work for the launch if I didn't think this expansion was going to be really fucking awesome. And honestly, you guys should be excited too. So I think we're going to wrap up this video here guys. I hope you enjoyed my little discussion on my beta experience so far, and if you like this video please comment, like and subscribe to my channel for more Warlords of Draenor content. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.